Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Kisma, and today's episode is The Anger Games, Part 2. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set.
Well, hello there, Nick.
Hey there.
How's it going here in September, recording some podcasts?
Well, it's a little warm.
It's a little warm, the San Diego warm in September.
Yeah, it always takes me by surprise. But like I said, last episode, it's really exciting to be back. I'm really excited to be talking about anger. I just think it's a really important thing that
it is an important topic.
Yeah, it's so important to just shed a little bit of light and bring it into the conversation in a real way.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool and exciting for me.
Yeah. Cool beans. I'm building out the Prosperity Code coaching method, which I love. It is the spiritual self-coaching. So you listeners out there, if you're interested, email hello@illuminationpodcast.com. And you've got do you have any sound baths coming up?
Yeah, I do. It's not a secret when they happen. They happen
the full moon.
It's a full moon. So it happens on the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
Each month I do these sound baths, and you've watched me behind the scenes. I'm working on recording an album, actually.
Nice.
I've got a couple tracks, and I've got the concept all in my mind, and now it's more just a matter of bringing it all into being, loving it into being, as we talked about in a couple weeks ago. So that's coming. But if you want to come, nickhansinger.com/full moon sound healing.
Yeah.
And
it's like what, $20 or something?
It's $20, and
what a deal.
You get, you don't have to come in person. Obviously, I'm doing a really high quality broadcast that you can just tune into. You can blast it through your home speaker system. You can pop your headphones on, whatever you want to do. And you'll also get access to the recording for a few days after that as well. So if you can't attend live, you can just listen on the replay, and it camps on to that full moon energy.
Right.
So it's really designed as a beautiful healing experience.
All righty. Well, let's get going on the anger games here. This is part 2.
Get into the anger.
Yeah. Talk to me about this next level of anger games.
Well, to recap really quickly, we talk about this in the term of games, right? Because they're games that we play.
With ourselves and with others.
With ourselves and with others, and little lies that we tell ourselves, and we kind of dance around the real issues. Anger pulls the strings and has us dancing around what the real issues are.
Yeah.
And so we wind up playing these really funny little games with it. And, in the last episode, we talked about paying attention. What is it that you really are wanting that you're not getting?
Right.
And also being open to the possibility that, hey, it might be possible for me to make some changes in my life without this, right?
Yes.
Without this really destructive.
I love that. It might just be possible.
Yeah, it's a super important question to ask, because it gets your brain working in a whole different way.
Right.
And it gets it out of that reactive state and into a proactive state.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about that state.
Right.
First and foremost, anger is like a hypnotic state. Think about it. When you've been really angry.
Yeah.
A blind rage.
It's a blind rage. You can't see anything else.
Yeah.
But your own anger and the supposed perceived cause of it.
And all the reasons.
Yeah.
Right. It builds up that whole case for it. And when you're in that state, you can only see the agenda of anger. Really,
the intellect goes out the window.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
So there's no guiding, controlling, adjusting the emotions. It's just rage, this reactive state that we know can really do damage.
Yeah. Yeah. And it shows up in really funny ways. In the world today, I see a lot of anger between people for not thinking like they think they're supposed to think. On one side of the aisle, there's people that, feel really strongly about what we're supposed to be doing to manage the virus. And on the other side, there's other people who are thinking that that should be handled a completely different way.
Right.
And they're angry about it. Now, I'm not saying that people are walking through their whole day, angry, but that it comes out in these really destructive ways that, of making other people wrong and stupid and bad and ridiculing them and never really having a real conversation about it or anything that's actually solution based. It's always just about making wrong and bad. And the anger that underlies that, if you look at what's really there, it's a lack of safety.
Yes. Really threatens that core wound of not being safe.
Yeah. It's fear.
Fear of not being safe.
The anger that grows out of that, it just feeds itself.
Yeah.
I'm angry about this because, and then it builds the case.
So it's looking for reasons to stay in its anger.
It's looking for reasons to be right about it and unassailable so that can be maintained.
Right.
Because it is an energy of its own and it is very much like a hypnotic state.
Right.
But here's the thing that people don't understand. I think they're duped into the power of that state and they think because people are paying attention or because they're getting a reaction or something like that they're the ones in control. But who's really in control?
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Or what is in control?
Who or what is in control? Is it your emotions that are calling the shot? Well, if you're in anger, yes.
Yes.
There's no two ways about that.
It's not love, light, and power calling the shots.
No, if you're angry, your emotions are calling the shots.
Or I want to actually argue that from it. You can be angry and have an intellect that is checking your anger so that you can respond in a way that isn't breaking things.
Yeah, you're having anger, but anger's not having you.
Right.
You're aware that you're angry.
Because we're not saying don't be, like things happen where we're going to be angry. This isn't about stuffing anger down.
Yeah, I would say, I think there's a conversation around that, which I think is mostly semantics. That's when the intellect is control, it really takes the edge off that energy and you're reacting to it in a very different way. So I'm not sure that you would call it like real anger. Like you're not in anger, although you may be
feel
aware.
Anger.
Yeah, you may be aware that you're having some of that. But it's probably going to show up. That's going to be more in the vein of some frustration or something like that. Like I said, it's semantics. It doesn't really matter. But you're 100% right, because when the intellect steps in, you can see what's going on inside of you and you can choose something more productive in your life. That's really what we're talking about in this whole series.
Yeah.
Yeah. You really got right to the heart of it there. But what else? Like what else might be calling the shot there? Is it the person who's standing between you and what you want?
That interrupted desire, right? Desire disrupted.
Yeah. And I know that people withhold from others in order to manipulate them.
They do. And
they use that anger.
Right.
In order to distract you and control you.
Right. Oof. It's rough, man.
It is. But people do it.
Yeah.
They really do. They do it in relationships. They do it in jobs.
In political forums.
Certainly in political forums, which is that's really that's one I think is the most important, is the people who are standing on the sideline. Who benefit from the distraction of a good fight.
Oh, they get all energized and stuff.
Well, okay, I don't want to go way off on the conspiracy theory here, but think about it, right? We're arguing about whatever we're arguing about. And behind the scenes, there's a whole other thing happening. Right. So it's really common to look for. And I'll see posts about it and little reminders that I'm actually really appreciative of when a hot button topic comes up real loud, because I'll see somebody say, pay attention to what laws are being passed right now, because these are the things that are happening while nobody's paying attention.
While nobody's paying attention because they're angry.
Right. And really, like, I don't want to go deep down the conspiracy theory. Like, it's not about that, right? It's just, I think just more than anything is a very beautiful example of what happens if you get two people fighting and then you're off kind of doing your own thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's a tactic in warfare.
Right.
It's a great distraction.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, psychological warfare, you kind of beat them on the inside, or you get them fighting with each other. And then,
for
boom,
sure.
like, you're ripe for a takeover.
Yeah.
The US has taken over countries this way. No, well, we've overthrown governments this way. Anyway, maybe I need to tone it down on the conspiracy theory.
Have at it. It's getting exciting.
I've been enjoying that podcast.
But I think back to the point of, like, who's benefiting from your anger?
Right.
Is anyone, like, or better yet, are you really benefiting from this anger? Or are you being depleted? Are you being sidelined? Are you being cheered on by people that are going to walk out of your life as soon as the anger is gone, because all they are is comrades? They're in for the fight.
Yeah.
Who's benefiting? And then what do you want? We have to look at, what are we trying to accomplish or to be or to have? And is the anger contributing to that?
Right.
Or is it taking away from it?
That's the most brilliant question, right? Is it helping you get what you want?
Right.
And to get it in a sustainable way, right? Something that you can create in your lives, because you can make an instant shift with anger. That's not hard.
Right.
It's not hard at all. Just start threatening somebody on the road, right?
Oh yeah.
You'll get them out of your way.
Yeah.
Right. But what are you really accomplishing?
Right.
And are you really getting what you want? And again, building it in a way that you can actually sustain it. Because I guarantee anger has a short shelf life.
It really does.
It'll destroy you.
And then sometimes it's like, okay, there's that short shelf life. And then somebody has to get angry again. And it becomes even more, it's like, keep layering and layering to try and get that fix, right? So there has to be more and more anger.
Yeah. And that's the thing I think that a lot of people miss about anger, is that it is addictive.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It really is addictive because of the change that it can make and because of the energy that it generates.
And you've also talked about how it's deceivingly empowering.
Well, yeah. I mean, you give the illusion of power. When you're projecting that kind of energy and intention into something,
right,
into a situation, people are paying attention to you because you're angry and loud. They're walking on eggshells because they don't want to disturb you and set you off. Like, you're actually, you're manipulating that situation,
right.
And it's feels empowering.
Yeah. Until it's not.
Yeah. Right. Until it's not. Until you've broken a relationship because the person is tired of living their lives worried about setting you off, or somebody leaves your business because they don't want to work for somebody who they're always walking on eggshells around. Like, nobody wants to live like that.
It's a difficult place. So what to do with all this angry bunniness?
Well, in the last episode, those two keys are really important. What do you really want?
Right. Getting clear on what you really want.
What do you really want? That kind of clarity is something that takes some effort.
And it takes empowering though.
It takes the humility to look at ourselves and to understand that there's something that's not being fulfilled inside of you.
The void.
Right? Happy people are not angry. Happy, joyful people who are, really having a wonderful life, they're not angry.
They can have anger. They can experience anger.
But that's not how they're creating their life.
Exactly. That's not how they're making decisions. It's not how they're getting people to do things for them. It's not how they're creating energy.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to diminish. There are events that go on in the world that can really cause anger. It's not about diminishing those. It's about how long are you in that anger?
Yeah.
And more importantly, what are you doing? Like, are you conjuring up anger in your own life to have perceived more energy, to have perceived more power, to have perceived, get what you want kind of stuff?
Yeah, to initiate change.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that for a second, because I think that's really important. Anger can be a guidepost. Right? It can be like a red flag that says, whoa, something is amiss here,
Right.
and it's something to be examined,
Mm-hmm.
and that gets bypassed to justify the emotion
Right.
more often than it really gets inquired around.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen people. It bothers me a little bit, to be perfectly honest, where I see it in personal development, particularly men, but not always, and they talk about anger in that way of like, it's calling you to do something. It's calling you to motivate yourself to get through, to break a pattern or something like that. Yeah, I get it, right? But when I see that happen, it misses the really important question about what's really going on inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it just might be possible to create a change without that.
And how much more energy are you going to have on the other side of that, and how much more sustainable the change would be.
Yeah. And if you're right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
How much more sustainable is the change? But it gets talked about in that way a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
I really think that that's the wrong path.
Yeah. I think it's dangerous.
It is.
Actually.
In long term, it's completely unsustainable.
Mm-hmm.
It will break your body.
Yep. And your mental health, your emotional health, the intellect's out the door. So, all right, what do we do here? I know you had a little golden tip for everyone.
Well, it is really about making peace.
Mm-hmm.
And a commitment to peace. So you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the intellect stepping in and to really recognize what's going on inside, to realize that you have anger.
Right.
Right. But to recognize that you have that because there's something that's not being fulfilled inside of you.
Something's missing.
Right. And it always comes back to that. The biggest lie is something outside needs to change in order for me to feel okay inside.
Right.
And that's just a lie. It's not
right.
It's not accurate, and it won't work over the long term. But when you commit to peace, and I really mean this like fully, peace within yourself and peace with the world, and stop fighting, you start to find all these amazing little treasures and all these amazing little side paths.
Oh, miracles, right?
It's truly miracles.
Just real miracle energy.
But it only happens when you decide and make a firm commitment to stop fighting.
Right.
To stop making people wrong, to stop getting into all of that, all of those conversations, stop fighting with people on Facebook.
Oh, man.
Right? Like stop all of that and really get real about what you want for your life.
Yeah.
And get committed to that. And you'll
just think about the energy going in that direction, like creating peace, little peace treaty, and putting your energy towards what you really want.
Yeah. That's the very first thing in a course on self-love. The very first thing that I have people do is write a peace treaty.
I love it. So can you give an example for our listeners?
Well, a peace treaty, it can be long, it can be short, it can be formal, it can be informal, whatever it is. What a peace treaty is a firm commitment to peace. It's not to say that, you might not have anger, ever again, or that you might not break that treaty in some way, either accidentally or just not paying attention or whatever. But it is to say that you've got an anchor to come home to. I'm not fighting anymore.
Right.
Right. No more fighting. And that starts to turn your gaze inward so that you can see what's really going on inside and what it is that you really want for your life.
Right.
That's the thing that nobody really has a good answer for when they're arguing about broad political things and blah, 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 blahs. Like you ask, I can't tell you how many times I've done this. Well, what do you really want for your life? And they just they give some lame answer.
Yeah.
That's not really grounded in anything.
They don't know.
The whole argument that they're having and dedicating all this energy to is not helping them move towards that anyway.
Right.
So it's just a big smoke screen.
Yeah.
The peace treaty is about stopping that.
Stop that.
Just really full stop.
How do you word your peace treaty?
You can, like I said, you can word it any which way. I state your name, firmly resolve to create peace in my life and to uphold the principles of peace.
Love it.
To do it with love and compassion, right? To do it with honesty and to do whatever it is that is necessary for me to uphold this peace and to not fight.
Yeah. Great.
Right. And it sounds weird, like, and admittedly, I'm a pacifist that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've seen the results in my life and the life of people that I've worked with. And it's extraordinary because all of that energy, think about this for a second. This is where it gets super exciting to me. All of that energy, now you get to recover that.
It's a lot of energy to bring back home, everyone.
Oh, wow. It is an extraordinary amount.
Yeah.
You think about what you would do with even a tenth of that energy.
Oh my gosh.
That's getting spent, just winding around in your head, making your case and arguing your case and externally, those holding patterns of your need to be right versus their need to be right and everybody arguing. Like all of that stuff. Think about all the time and effort and energy that's wasted. Well, all of that's coming right back to you.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do with all that energy? You're going to go live an awesome life, right?
Yes.
And it starts, like, that's why the peace treaty is so powerful, because when you do that for yourself, when you stop fighting with yourself, you're going to stop fighting with the world.
Exactly. Because if you're fighting with the world, somewhere you're fighting with yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Peace treaty, everyone. Let's give it a go.
That's the way it goes,
I think we need it. I think the more of us that write that little peace treaty, it's going to make a difference on the planet.
Yeah. I'll pop a link on Illumination Podcast.
Okay.
So this is episode 228. I'll pop a link in the post for it so that you can go. And I did like a little lesson on it.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's open for everybody. It's kind of like a preview of the course. And truly, I feel that strongly about it.
That's great. So illuminationpodcast.com, episode 228.
228. Yeah. All the Anger Games part 2.
Yeah. I love it. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. We so appreciate you. If you know an angry bunny out there and you can slip them this episode, it might just help. But in the meantime, go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review for Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma.
Absolutely. Little word to the wise there.
Yeah.
If you slip it to that person that's angry, one of the responses that you'll probably get is, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. And what you do, here's how you handle that. Okay. And then you walk away.
Good.
That's it. End of story.
That's it.
So that's how you share this episode specifically.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. See you next time. Much love and namaste.
Peace.
Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.